Welcome to Crowning Connections with Monarch Roofing and Rob Clemons. Today, I've got a little show where we want to dive into what makes exceptional people exceptional. I feel like a lot of our business people that listen to the show have their own goals. They have goals for the employees, and but it always comes back to a corporate identity. And a lot of times that identity is, I've got to work harder. I got to outwork the competition to get to the top of my game. And so today I'm really excited to have Ty Majeski, number 66 for Thorsport Racing with us. Ty, how you doing today?
Good. Hope you guys are doing well. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate having you. You know, it's to have a person that's kind of been through the sports industry and done as much as you've done, quite frankly. It's really impressive. If you would, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into racing.
Well, I'm a first generation racer, so a lot of drivers nowadays, their dads have done it, and they kind of grow into it, so to speak. And so I'm first generation, and I was always a race fan. My parents were always race fans growing up, and we were sitting at the dinner table one night, and I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I'm like 5'4", 135 pounds. So I'm a small guy now, so you can imagine how small I was back then. And I was at that age where all my buddies were going out for tackle football, and of course I wanted to do it. And my parents didn't want me being a part of it, and didn't want me getting hurt because I was small. And like I said, we were always race fans. So my dad's like, "Hey, what if I went out and buy a go kart? We can start racing." And I'm like, sure, that sounds pretty cool. And we just kind of, the rest is history. We just kind of moved up through the ranks, local go karts to national level go karts, and then eventually made the jump into late models and eventually NASCAR.
Wow, that's really cool. It's kind of like racing's one of those things where I could see where being too big would almost be a negative, right? I mean, you don't see a whole lot of NASCAR drivers who are 6'6" or anything, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm even on the small side for race car drivers, and I always say I can fit in everybody else's car, but none of them can fit in mine. So you can always add up a seat or whatever, but you can't stretch a seat out. So I just joke about
Yeah.
that all the time. But yeah, obviously, the lighter you are, the more weight you can have in the vehicle, and you can strategically place that weight for handling purposes. So when you get up into stock cars, it's not as much, but definitely in go karts, it's a huge advantage.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, would you say that most drivers kind of get into it, and this is for somebody who might be listening that wants to get in early? Would you say most of them do start with go karts, or how do most of the drivers that you've seen kind of get into this?
Yeah, I would say mostly that's the first step. There's the funny thing about racing is there's no blueprint for it. Where obviously, if you're in basketball, you play in grade school and then middle school and then high school and then the college. And in racing, you can kind of do whatever. You can start. I mean, you can race dirt bikes. You can go off road. You can race dirt go karts, asphalt go karts, road course go karts. You can run bandoleros, legend cars, four cylinder, street stocks. There's so many different ways to get into racing, and there's no blueprint for it. There's no good way to do it. Everybody's had success, kind of paving their own path. And but I would say to answer your question, majority of them do start in go karts and graduate maybe into legend cars and then into late models.
Got you. Going back through your career, I mean, you've had quite a few successes. I saw you were Rookie of the Year back in 2016, was it, or what was the year? Or 2014, I believe it was.
Yes, 2014. Yep.
Yeah. So how did you just hit the circuit and you were immediately having success? What did it feel like to be in that situation? I mean, because obviously there's a lot of competition in this. From your perspective, what do you think you were doing right out of the jump that made you so successful right off the bat?
Well, one thing my dad taught me at a very young age is surround yourself with better people than you, and they'll always make you look good. And that's something that I try and take into account with anything that I do, whether it be racing or just life in general. You always try and surround yourself with good people, and good things will happen. So I've been fortunate enough to have worked with a lot of great people and have had a lot of great mentors over the course of my career. And whether that be on the go kart level, then into late models, and now here at Thorsport Racing, I've just been extremely blessed to be a part of a lot of great groups of people that have taught me a lot, and that have brought the best out of myself.
Yeah, that's really cool. What's your favorite thing to drive so far? I mean, now you're doing the trucks, but I mean, what was your favorite?
I guess where I cut my teeth is late model racing. That's kind of where I made a name for myself. Midwest short track racing, super late models. So that's kind of where I come from, and that's what I enjoy doing. I was actually ran a late model race this weekend down in South Carolina, and had some success this weekend. So um, I love going back to my roots. Obviously, the trucks, the NASCAR level is what I want to do and where I want to be. But I always love going back to my roots.
Now it's really cool. The next time you're in South Carolina, we're gonna have to get you by Myrtle Beach to check out the place a little bit. Have you been down this way yet?
Yeah, I actually have been to Florence and spent a weekend there. I was actually, or Myrtle Beach. I was in Florence this weekend racing,
Wow. Yeah.
which isn't too far from Myrtle Beach.
Oh.
So I've like I said, I was at Myrtle Beach. I think it was a few years ago. I took my fiance out there and we spent a weekend. So it's a nice area for sure.
Yeah, really cool, really cool. So I was going to tell you a little bit about myself. So actually, my first year of college, I went to University of Wisconsin Milwaukee. So when I saw a little bit about your bio, I see you are actually originally from Wisconsin.
Yep.
A lot of race car fans out that way.
Actually, a lot. So Wisconsin's actually a real honey hole for late model racing, short track wise. There's about you can draw a 4 hour radius around the center of Wisconsin, and there's maybe 12 or 13 asphalt tracks, and they all race weekly. And some of the best weekly racing in the country. Obviously, the more you travel south, the more of an industry it is. But up in Wisconsin, it's a hobby for a lot of people, and uh, fans love going to the racetracks up there and supporting it on Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool stuff. What do you think is the mentor, if you have one, that whether it's race cars or not, just do you have a mentor in life that has meant a lot to you in your development?
Well, there's a lot of them, right? But the obvious one I think for a lot of us is our parents, right? My dad, he sacrificed a ton for me growing up. We've worked countless nights in the shop working on our go karts and learning together. We like I said, I was a first generation racer. He didn't know much about it, and we spent so much time. And he sacrificed a lot, and I sacrificed a lot to get to the point where I am today. And whether that be in high school, going out with your friends or going to football games. I've sacrificed that to be in the shop working on my go karts or race cars to try and be better and pursue a career in racing. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand is what actually goes into being a race car driver behind the scenes and how much effort and not only from yourself but for everybody supporting you and around you to be successful.
That's a great point. I actually, in getting to know a little bit about you, saw you. You do some of the engineering on your own vehicles, so you're really behind the scenes making things happen. Do you find that's more, when you get to the Cup Series guys, do you find that they're doing the same things, or are they more, relying on their teams at that point?
On the cup level, I feel like they're really relying on their teams. I think there's certain drivers that are involved, but I think more often than not, especially as um, you know NASCAR has evolved, it's kind of brought the driver sort of separated the driver from that for whatever reason. Um, Things are so technical now, and teams are so secretive.
Mm.
What they're doing and how they're doing it, and they know drivers talk, right? So a lot of the drivers are friends, and they don't want their secrets getting out. And the way they get out is a lot of times the drivers, believe it or not. So I know the teams are definitely more careful of what they let out. But I can say personally, as a driver that is an engineer, also, I learn a ton just knowing the ins and outs of what you're actually driving and understanding it, why it works, and how it works is huge to try and be better.
Yeah, I figure on the actual day of the race, you're probably giving some feedback that's probably pretty technical. Then you're driving the truck and you're feeling something. You can probably convey it a little bit better to your crew chief or whoever. I mean, would you say that's pretty accurate? You guys are talking a lot throughout the race.
Yeah, most certainly. And myself being here at Thorsport, I know what goes into my truck. I know what the setup is. I know everything about it. I can see it in the programs we have to sort of simulate the race vehicles before we get to the racetrack. And I know all those things. And when I go to the racetrack, I can correlate them. and build a data point for the next time we go to a race and the next time. And you just build up a notebook and see trends and what works and what doesn't. And as a driver, knowing those things just helps.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So let's go into a little bit of that practice you talked about. So I saw here that you were ranked number one, and I say were, you may still be ranked number one oval driving player in the world on the iRacing racing simulator. That's pretty impressive. I mean, there's a lot of racers on this thing. Like, what's the key to doing that so well?
It just means I do it a lot.
Right, right.
It takes a lot of time, of course. iRacing has been a huge supporter of mine, not only on with their service, but they've always supported me and they've sponsored me since I think 2014 or 2015. Like I said, they've been a huge supporter of mine, and I've used iRacing as a tool to just help myself behind the wheel, just being consistent, going around racetracks. Obviously, it's not 100% real. It is on a computer, but there's a ton of things that you can take away from it, especially like road courses, new road courses that I've never been to. I'll go on iRacing and spend hours running laps and getting accustomed to the braking points and the line and which corner's coming up next. And it just shortens that learning curve when you show up there in real life. And I've also met so many great people on iRacing. It's not just about getting on there and racing. It's about the camaraderie and the relationships you can build, because a lot of people in the industry do use iRacing. And, like I said, I've met a lot of great people, and they've provided me opportunities in the real world because of it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. A lot of trash talking going on in iRacing.
Always, yeah.
Oh yeah, of
Anything you're
course.
online, I feel like that's just a given at this day and age.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. I was wondering, have you ever played any of the games on Xbox, like NASCAR Heat or any of that stuff?
I have a little bit, not much. When I have time to, I guess play video games. I don't want to call iRacing a video game because I feel like
Yeah,
it's higher than that. But when I
sure.
have time to do stuff like that, it's iRacing for sure.
So a little fun fact, and I don't want to challenge you at all, but I'm playing NASCAR Heat the other day, and there I see Ty Majeski's truck in front of me, and I pulled around. I took you in this race. I don't know.
That's
I'm
funny.
sure. Yeah, right. I'm sure that was accurate, but yeah,
Well, it's funny. I grew up racing, on whatever PlayStation, NASCAR Thunder
yeah,
'04, and all those NASCAR games growing up, and you always think, man, that'd be really cool if I got my name on that video game, and to be in one was really neat, and now I don't even do it. So it's just kind of
yeah.
funny how your dreams as a kid change as when you get older. So it's neat to be on that game and be a part of it, and it's it's crazy to think about back then, and to see it come true is kind of neat.
No, I mean it does have to be pretty cool to see your name on a video game. And I got to say that just to be clear, I think beating you in a video game was kind of like beating Tom Brady on a football game on the Xbox.
Yeah,
Like
that's right on
there's
Madden.
no
Yeah,
there's nothing good to it, but at least it was fun to talk about for sure.
yeah, that's right.
So let's talk a little bit about the short tracks. And Speed51.com in 2016 rated you the number one short track draft pick. I've heard a lot about your short track, kind of like almost legendary kind of ability on there. What makes someone good on the short track? I mean, what's the key to being really good at that?
I think just the finesse of a lot of these. Let me back up. A lot of these short tracks have a lot of character because at that level they don't have the money for fresh pavement or to patch the bumps, right? So a lot of these tracks are old and wore out. So the more coarse surface that it is, the more it wears out your tires, and the rougher it is, obviously, the harder it is to get around. So I think you have to have a lot of finesse to get around there, to get around short tracks, and a lot of discipline from a tire management standpoint. If you can go too hard and push your car too hard, and your tires will fall off, and you won't have anything left to race with at the end. So I think having that balance of being disciplined and understanding the situation that you're in and what your race car is doing and what it's doing right, and realizing that and acting to it.
Yeah, it's a good point. I would say, do you think the reflexes are more extreme? Like, are the need for really good reflexes more important on a short track, or does it really matter in comparison to the other tracks?
Well, I think it's just a different set of instincts. On a short track, you're looking for mechanical grip and just grip in your race car. you get to these mile and a halves, say in the truck series, a lot of it is aero based. So you go, it's just a different way of approaching a race on a short track versus a track that, you're going so fast that aerodynamics take into account where you position yourself versus other trucks. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So I was again reading up a little bit on you. Dale Earnhardt Jr. called you the Dill on a tweet. Are you aware of this?
Yeah, that was boy, that was in 2015, November of 2015 after the Governor's Cup in Florida. Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, yeah, okay, well, yeah, like who's keeping track, right? No,
Yeah,
that's
that's
really
right.
cool. I mean, to have like, basically legend of NASCAR talking about you that way, that's got to be pretty special. I mean, where would you, as far as like looking at your kind of heroes in NASCAR, do you have anybody that you ever looked and were just like, I mean, obviously, probably all of them were kind of special, but was there any particular driver that you really feel like you respected a lot more than others, or just above everybody else?
Well, I think over the years, when it was happening, Jimmy Johnson's domination was maybe annoying to some people just because he won everything. He won a lot, won how many championships in a row? Seven total. And at the time, I didn't like him, but as I grew older and began to appreciate what it takes to win in the sport, you just that's something you learn to appreciate. I mean, we're living in an era with Tom Brady, for example. I mean, we
Hmm.
are never going to see another guy like this. And you might hate him because he wins all the time, but you have to respect him. And so for me, it's Jimmy Johnson. Just for him to be able to accomplish what he did in the era he did it in, we'll probably never see that again. And I've learned to appreciate that. And I've gotten the pleasure to spend some time with him. We actually shared a go kart stall at a road course in Charlotte when I lived down there. So I got to spend some time with him and learn sort of what he did and how he did it, and at the level he did it at is just incredible. And that's something I really look up to.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, incredible career he's had, and now I guess this year he's trying something a little bit different. Do you find that to be fascinating in itself? I mean, it almost seemed like it's such a different style of car. I mean, what were your thoughts when you saw that happening?
Well, it's a jump. It's a whole. When you take something that you've done your entire life, and now you have to completely change those instincts and shape them into something else at I don't want to age them at whatever 40, 45 years old, and that's not easy to do. And oh, by the way, you're going up against the best in the world that at that discipline. So it's I give him credit for trying it, and it's an incredible feat for him to just go out there and be competitive, and to see him do it at the level he's doing it at is there's no doubt in my mind he's the greatest of all time for sure.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Well, let's jump over to a little bit about yourself. So I was checking out your website. I mean, you got a pretty amazing website in itself. How have you, as a businessman, marketed yourself? I mean, what do you have a marketing team that works with you, or how have you gone out to brand yourself as well as you've done?
Well, that's a that's an interesting question. So when I first started in late models and started having success and started to realize that this could actually work. This could be a career. I could have a career in racing. You have to take a step back and think about what you're doing and be strategic about it. There's unfortunately a lot of people in the business that will take advantage of you. And I was fortunate enough to um, had some connections with some drivers who learned the hard way and got taken advantage of. And you certainly need to be careful who you surround yourself with in the industry. There's a lot of good people out there for sure, but you have to make sure you find them. Otherwise, you can get burnt, and it can be the end of your career. So, um, my dad and I actually did a lot of the marketing and business side in the early days in late models. And then actually, when I did the deal with Roush in 2017, that was all my dad and I. We handled all that. Got our own attorney to look over the contracts. And, a lot of drivers at that time would have hired somebody, and we took it into our own hands and did it ourselves for a lot of years. And, I never had the privilege of growing up with a sponsor or a family that had the means to support my racing. We always had to find uh, teams that would believe in me, or people that would believe in me to make it happen. And that's something that we've done all the way up until this year. And I've got a great group of people now behind me here at Thorsport, and as well as another marketing company that is more grassroots, and they only help out one other driver and I. And I know I can trust them, and they believe in me and what I'm doing, and creating opportunities for me.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff. And so let's go to the team over at Thorsport. I mean, obviously, very, very impressive race team company in general, from everything I've seen. When it comes to, I'm going to say game day for lack of a, race day, of course. How much teamwork comes into the race itself, and how much of it becomes competitive between each other? I'm sure there's a balance, but I mean, are you guys giving each other tips leading up to it? Do you try to keep them to yourselves? How does that look?
I think there's certain things that need to get shared and that do get shared. But every crew chief and every team has their things that they do that the others don't know about, and that's just everybody in this shop wants to beat each other, more so than anybody. It's natural, right? I want to go out and beat the other four trucks when I race here at Thorsport, because everybody knows you have the same equipment, and if you can take the same equipment and be better, that makes yourself look good, and it's just, human nature to want to do that. But at the same time, we all work under one umbrella. We all work for one man, and that's Duke Thorson, and he's a great guy, and he gives us everything that we need to do to be competitive. And if Thorsport is winning, we're all winning. So that's something that we take to heart here, and we work together and make sure that all trucks are competitive. But like I said, we all want to beat each other, and we all have our own little things that we do to try and have that a little bit of an edge. But like I said, it's all about the team. It was awesome to see Ben Rhodes get the owners championship and the drivers championship in the same season. That's something that Duke has never done before. This is his first owners championship and fifth drivers championship. So it was incredibly neat to see that finally accomplished here.
Yeah, big shout out to Ben Rhodes for sure. That was very, very impressive. And in general, I was always kind of wondering about that because you can equate that with business. Over here at Monarch Roofing, for example, we have three locations. And so we all want to kind of push each other on a month-to-month basis. We all want to see who can do the most sales. So we all support each other, but we also have our little competitive side. And we figure if we can push each other, we make each other better. So it's kind of neat to see that you guys are still doing that too, even at the most competitive levels of sports like NASCAR. So very cool stuff. So as far as your future, I mean, what's next for you? I mean, obviously, you're with a great team here, but where do you want to see yourself go in your career in NASCAR?
Well, when I initially moved down to Charlotte in 2017, and I had the Xfinity deal with Roush, obviously your dream is to make it to the Cup level and be competitive at the Cup level. So that was my dream, and what I wanted to do. And over the years, as I grew and had different opportunities, and seeing how race teams in Charlotte not perform, but I guess how they act and how they handle themselves and how they work was different than what I initially anticipated. So I really feel like I found a home here at Thorsport. It's in Sandusky, Ohio, so it's sort of not your standard race shop in Charlotte. So like I said, there's a lot of great people here. The people up here are racers, and they have the Midwest mentality of, they work all hours of the day, and they work until they need to get done. And in Charlotte, I just felt like a lot of the teams, it was just a job to them. They would work, 7 o'clock to 4 o'clock, boom, they were going home. Well, here and it was a job, right? And here it's more of a way of life. We love to do it up here, and I think it shows in the performance and the product we put out on the racetrack. So, obviously I'm at Thorsport to be a driver. I do love doing the engineering side, but I'm here because I want to be a driver, and I do know Duke knows that, and everybody here knows that, and I'd love to have a full-time opportunity here in the future, whether that be next year or years down the road. I'm going to be here at Thorsport for the time being, and going to enjoy every minute of it.
Man, that's such powerful stuff. And I say that because you just talked about a culture there, and it's like the culture is such a key to every organization, every winning team. And the fact that you guys are able to get people there who really, really, it's not just a job, it's not clock in the morning. How much overtime do I get? How many days off do I have a year? But it sounds like you're really driven by the success of everything. And I think that's such a powerful thing. I don't even know how some companies think they're going to survive without having a really powerful culture. Do you find that this becomes something where during the hiring process, during all those processes, that Thorsport just does a better job with finding who they're going to bring to the team and making sure they're the right fit?
Well, you touched on it. So it's obviously the racing industry is in Charlotte, and sometimes it's hard to get people up here. Um, it's Sandusky, Ohio is a hard sell because it's just out of the Charlotte area, and you're out of the industry. And like I said, it's hard work for us to get good people up here, and I feel like that David Pepper and Tracy Hines and Duke have done a great job at managing that and making sure that we have good people up here and the tools necessary to go out and be successful as a race team. And not only one race team, but four race teams and sometimes five. So it's a lot for sure. And they've done a great job getting the best out of people. And they've done a good job taking somebody that loves racing, that has the drive and mentality to do it, and teaching them the right way to do it and shaping them into being great mechanics and great engineers and great crew chiefs. I feel like the development here is very, very good. Instead of just taking a guy from Charlotte and hiring them, they'll take a young guy that loves racing, loves motorsports, and trains them. And I see a lot of that here at Thorsport, and that's why a lot of people have been here for so many years.
Yeah, very, very cool stuff. Retention is a big thing too. Obviously, especially in 2021, where it's so hard to keep people. When you see anywhere where they've had people there year after year after year, it says something in itself. So, as far as you go, what other hobbies do you have? I mean, when you're not racing.
Well, I'm from Wisconsin, and it's cold up there, and there's a lot of snow. So, in the off season, I love to go up there and spend some time snowmobiling. My dad is a part owner in a motorsports or power sports dealership up there, so we had the opportunity to grab some snowmobiles and go out riding on weekends and have a lot of fun. And I love winter sports and water sports in the summertime, whether that be jet skis or skiing or tubing or all that kind of stuff. So we find we have to be creative up in Wisconsin to have entertainment for ourselves. So I guess that's the way that I've done it growing up.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, from my time in Wisconsin, I found that the football fans, they are passionate about the Packers there, man.
Big time.
I mean, it's almost another level of passion.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. The cheeseheads are definitely crazy up there. That's for sure. You're definitely not well liked if you're not a Packers fan up there. It seems like.
No doubt. And they have more jokes about the Chicago Bears and why they stink than any place I've ever seen.
It's crazy. I mean, there's a new slogan every year. Right when you think you've heard it all, there's a new one.
Yeah, no, who's thinking of these things and how are they getting them out there? And I guess just as we get a few minutes left, tell me about how social media affects your marketing. I mean, do you do much with, obviously I've seen you on, but do you do much of the social media and do you come up with this content yourself, or do you have a team that works on that?
Most of it's all myself, all natural, I guess, and I've never been a big social media guy. I've always been on the mechanic side. Get to the racetrack, do your job, be a part of the race team. And, some drivers have taken the other way, and they've taken social media and have done, YouTube channels and videos and stuff. And I think that's something I definitely need to work myself into on that front. Like I said, I'm more of an old school guy in a new era, so to speak, from that perspective. So it's something I need to definitely work into and develop that part moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like same here. I find myself sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I should be talking about this stuff, but it's just something you don't really think about doing per se. Yeah,
Yeah, and social media is so powerful now. You can reach so many people so quick, and if you use it right, there's such good platforms to create content for your sponsors and create a brand for yourself. And I've definitely done some of that for sure, but definitely going to continue to get better at it.
yeah, absolutely. So if somebody wanted to get into sponsoring with you guys, I mean, obviously this is a big part of your business model at the NASCAR level. What's the best way for a sponsor to get a hold of you guys if they were interested in, kind of like sponsoring a truck?
Well, just to obviously it's people need to realize that there is a true, if you do it right and build the model right for a sponsorship program, there is a true return on investment. There can be if done right. And I know Jason Hadleski and everybody here at the team at Thorsport do a great job of that. And we can just reaching out to Thorsport Racing. We have a phone number and a website online that you can reach out and hit us up. We're always looking for new partners and new and creative opportunities to try and create partnerships for the future.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And just as we wrap up here, is there anything you want the viewers or listeners to know about Ty Majeski? I mean, just like anything that you would say, hey, this is the thing that I will want on my tombstone one day, or anything like that.
Man, that's a big question there.
Right. And plus, I said the tombstone. Yeah, that's not always that nice, but yeah.
From a motorsport standpoint, I'm a guy that hasn't had financial support, and it's not easy in this business without that. And I've been blessed to have opportunities in the highest level of racing without that, and it's been done on winning races and results on a short track level. And I'm really incredibly proud of that because there's only a handful of drivers in the last maybe 5 or 10 years that have done something like that. Now that's something I'm incredibly proud of and something that I build my brand around. And just moving forward and having this opportunity here at Thorsport, I just couldn't be more thankful for it.
Man, that's powerful stuff. He's Ty Majeski, number 66, Thorsport Racing, driving the Toyota Tundra as always. Ty, it's been amazing having you on. You're a world-class guy. I feel blessed to have the opportunity to talk to you, and best of luck in the future.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me. It was a good time.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day, all right?
Thank you. You too.
And this has been Rob Clemons. I'm signing out with Crowning Connections. We'll see you guys next time.